Welcome to West Coast Women Rising. I'm JJ Flizanes, and I'm excited to have this conversation today with Leigha. Welcome to the show, Leigha.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, let's start talking about your business. What do you do?
I'm a photographer. I specialize in headshots, branding, and family photography, and I've been doing it for about 6 years full time.
And let's go back to your backstory. Had you always wanted to be a photographer?
Honestly, I hadn't really thought about it, but it's funny, like when you are at a place and then you start looking back, you can kind of see that there were pieces that registered. I took a class, I maybe 15 years ago, photography class, just like in the evenings after my job. My job was working at a casting facility. I used to run it and oversee it, and there's a lot of production and cameras around there, so that was there. My dad always prioritized, like back in the day, like big cameras, big lenses, when not everybody was doing that, so we always had good cameras and family photography around. But I didn't really get involved in it. And my husband has always had good cameras. So like all the pieces were there. And then about 6 years ago, I picked it up and started offering it to, well, I wouldn't say 6 years ago. I started a little bit before that. I was helping him. And then I started offering photography to my circle and my people. And I really came into it through composition. So I wasn't obsessed with cameras, but I loved the composition of photos. So yeah, that's kind of how I started doing it on my own, but I was helping him for a few years before that. He's a content creator.
So, as a member of VCBW, Ventura kind of businesswomen, uh, I want to talk about a little bit about obviously what you do, what you offer people, how you're different or unique, or what you love about what you do, who your perfect client would be. But before we get to that, I also want to talk about the business side of this, right? Because this podcast is for West Coast Women Rising, and it's about the business aspect and how we grow ourselves, or how we had to grow, or what we had to go through, and then also just anything you can share with other people that are creative like you. For me, when I first started my business, I was juggling doing both like left and right brain things.
Yeah.
And I felt like I needed both. They were different at the time. They weren't all the same, but I felt like I needed both sides of that to sort of feel complete so that my creative side had an expression and my brain could figure something out and be involved and wasn't sleeping because it was
100%.
bored by some of the creative stuff that I was doing wasn't very like, your brain didn't need to be active. So where did you start with the entrepreneurial journey? Had you always wanted to work on yourself, like by yourself or with yourself or for yourself? I mean, I know that you
Yeah.
work with other people like your husband, and I know you're working with Natalie and you're kind of doing something with her. Take us
Yeah.
back.
So, I guess I would say, like I always back in the day, my first dream of a career outside of school was to be a fashion designer. So, I guess that kind of puts me in maybe like a creative path where I would be obviously creativity would have to come from within, and then I would have to figure out how to sell that. So, that was my original thought. And then I just was living in LA, and it was just, had a job, and it was like a golden handcuff situation. It was great for the pay, and it was easy. But at the same point, my husband has always been, he's never had it like a normal job. So he's never really had a job, and he's always been like a multifaceted entertainer with, like, he was a dancer, he was actor, he did some modeling back in the day. So I always saw, like, wow, what a lifestyle you have, like you just get to play with your friends and go do creative stuff. And that did look appealing. I just didn't know how that would look for me. So after we had our daughter, she's now 13, I think my first entrepreneurial thing I did was to start managing his social media. And it was kind of the Wild West, and it was like 13 years ago. So I was forging relationships, and I realized I really like talking to people. I really like coming up with like offerings and, working on the contract and negotiating all that stuff. So that was kind of the first step that I just did that for about 6 years. And then I started, with that, I was helping like capture the content with behind the camera. And I really loved the composition side of it. So yeah, then when I started realizing like I kind of had an eye for composition, I it was so exhilarating to now not be doing it for him or be doing it like at my old company, but just as quick as the ideas were coming to me, I could execute, I could come up with an offering. It was the holiday. I could come up with something for families or, a new headshot offering, and I could just like run with it. And that was exhilarating to me. So I just kind of quickly got in my business lane where part of the work is creative, and then part of it is like what do I want to do? How do I want to promote myself? And I could do it. And I loved that.
Am I guessing that you stopped working your full-time job when you had your daughter?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so then you were just raising your daughter and then doing the social media for your husband for 6 years.
Yeah, I was raising her, doing that. I took on a couple random clients. There was like a clothing store in my old area in Studio City. I took on like a makeup artist, kind of Instagrammy girl, and I was just kind of like, it was just sort of play at that point. Again, it was like, we have an idea. Could we do something with it? Let's try. And then, but when I was doing it for them or for Chad, my husband, it was like I could really, especially with him because I knew him so well, I could really get into his voice. And I always shied away from being like the wife manager. So I would kind of just respond to emails like in his voice as him. And like that was cool because like you said, I was able to use my brain. And when you're raising a young kid, like it's wonderful, it's lovely, but it can be kind of boring. And I wanted something to meaty to kind of like chew on some ideas to come up with. And so I was always doing it for him, but it just felt like inauthentic as well because I wasn't standing behind it. I was kind of making my world about him, which was great. We have a good relationship. All the money goes in the same place, but like I just kind of wanted something for myself. Also for my daughter, like I wanted her to see like my world didn't only revolve around him. It was like I was able to kind of fuel my own passion and my own business. So it was powerful for me to start. Like it makes me want to cry when I think about it because it just to all of a sudden answer that question, you're at a party or you're whatever, and it's like, what do you do? I used to always have to orient myself to him and to these other people. And it was kind of before influencer, that term was so popular. So it was like you kind of had to explain like how these people have a business and like what you do to help them. And so it just kind of felt like there was a bit of an ick to it. Um, and so when I was able to like introduce myself as a photographer to people, like, oh my God, loved it. It had magic behind those words. So that was really cool for me.
Well, it's important that you love what you do, and it's
Yeah.
important that you are proud of what you do because the energy
Yeah.
that you put behind it, some people might see in reverse. Some people need to stand behind. When I first started my first business in California, I had licensed a company called Homebodies, which
Hmm.
was an in-home personal training company that I worked for in New York. I didn't work for them full time, I worked part time. But I thought, oh, they'd been around and established for like 16 years. They had some really famous clients, people that would go back and forth from New York to LA. So I bought into that business so I could not just be JJ's
Yeah.
personal training company. Like I had some
Yeah.
history behind me. I had
That's interesting.
so
Yeah.
but that's because I also wasn't married and didn't have a kid. So there's a difference of sort of your impulse for saying, here's the thing that I like to do and love to do, and I think I'm really good at it, and it feels really good now to sort of step into it. For me, it was more of I'm new here, nobody knows me,
Yeah.
and so rather than say, hey, I just opened up shop yesterday, it felt a lot better to buy into a company and say, well, I've been,
I
Home
get
Buyers has
that.
been established for 16 years, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. And that just kind of felt better. It was not necessarily the right decision in the end to stay with that, and I didn't. I got out of my 3-year contract in 2 years, but it was a great place to start because I
Yeah.
wanted to launch from a something that felt a little bit more established.
I
So
totally get that. And I can totally see how that makes like that's the opposite end of the spectrum, but it brings the same feeling. And I think for me, after living in LA for like, I don't know, was it 13 years or something, and just being surrounded by insane talent and entrepreneurs and like the best dancers and amazing directors and like really cool people like were producing projects and just being in all those circles. And always, like everybody is always so welcoming to me. And I got to produce some cool projects like this dance group my husband was in. They went on this Ellen show that she did, and I got to produce that. So I got some cool credits here and there. And like there was neat things that I got to go along, the ride for. We worked with cool people as a group and I was involved. I wasn't just like the wife and I had something to do, but it was again orienting myself to other people. And so I think like, yeah, that part was really important to me to have my own thing. And I think I could have gotten there if I had worked for companies and stuff. But I guess after being home from, when I stopped my job and taking care of my daughter and just that like break, just like, oh my gosh, I want to pick something up and I want to pick it up in a way that supports my family's schedule and lifestyle as well. So, like not going and working for like LinkedIn or, some company, like being that's the best part of this is really like making my own schedule and working as little or as much as I want, which, sometimes that really like I screw myself. And I've been really working on this year, like just because I can do it, should I do it, schedule wise, lighting wise, like, how much should I take on and how nice should I be to myself? And when somebody else is not setting your schedule, you can just like hammer yourself with work and it's not nice. So, that side of it too, as an entrepreneur is like, oh, I gotta set my own boundaries because nobody else is setting them for me.
Oh yeah, and that's a lesson everyone has to learn in their own way. It kind of sounds like on one side you don't have to work. Versus some people, like I had to work. Like I
Yeah.
was by myself. I wasn't married. I didn't have anyone else
Oh
supporting
yeah.
me. I moved to California from New York by myself with my two cats. So I'm supporting myself. I don't have a full-time job.
Yeah.
And that was the decision. So, how I needed to feel confident about what I was doing. And like you felt confident, it's a different context, it's a different
Yeah.
circumstance. But like you said, the path ends up being the same. Like you're doing something you're passionate about that you want to do, that you feel good about.
Yeah.
Ultimately, what that looks like and how you explain it and what you need to make that happen for you. Like I felt supported because I had a whole team in New York City, even
Mhm.
though the operation here ran very differently than the one in New York City, but I learned that over the 2 years. And for you to sort of decide that I want to be an independent person with their own business and not
Yeah.
just, like you said, orient to my husband, it is
Well,
a
and
powerful thing.
to be clear, like I did have to work at that point. Like I needed to figure something out for myself from a like financial standpoint, especially like this when COVID hit. I was so grateful that I had just started building something that could fill in the gaps that, where my husband's work kind of had to completely stop. So it was like I did have to work and I knew it was coming for me. And those like 6 years that I was working from home, I was trying to gestate like what is the thing going to be, like do I just go back to work, and like I was kind of thinking, I was helping him but also realizing like at some point I do have to like step out and start contributing. And so and that is kind of like I do sometimes wish I had the luxury of just like I don't really want to go and do another like round of shoots right now. I think I'm going to take this weekend off. But like for me, the hustle is so real. First of all, again, like I don't really give myself a lot of time off. So it's that balance. And then, when you first start out, you just kind of say yes to everything because that's how I mean, especially in photography, there's so many different areas that you can work in. I mean, there's just like maternity, wedding, business, events, birthday parties. Like it's so, there's just so much. And each one requires a different set of skills and equipment, even. So just saying, I said yes to everything for the first couple of years. And then I started to learn like my niches and, what I needed to like succeed in those.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about
Yeah.
what your niches are.
Yeah. So my niches are really what I'm passionate about is like headshots and branding. And I think it comes from the work that I did do as a social media manager for those clients is like, just like really, if you're my client and you're like, hey, this is my business, this is what I need, I feel like I have a good skill of getting into your mindset, what makes you feel confident, what makes you tick, what your clients gravitate to you for. And then we translate that into images. So it can be a show and not tell situation so that like your clients don't need to read through paragraphs on your website. They can kind of just like see with some perfect curated images, like this is what she does. This is why I hire her. This is her um voice, this is her, how she operates, and like even just the clothing you wear, cohesive colors across your brand, from Instagram to LinkedIn to your website. So just kind of taking all that information in and then just tailoring a shoot to you. And my goal is to get you basically all the images you're going to need for the year, um from headshots to like just all the filler photos that you don't think about. So you have this gallery and you're like, oh, I have something to say. where's the photo that goes along with that? And it's like, oh, it's there, it's waiting for me. So that's kind of my thrill, is to get into my client's mind and business and give them everything they need to succeed. That's the branding of it all. Headshots, similar, just a little bit more like two-dimensional versus three-dimensional. And then every once in a while, I want to do something like creatively fulfilling and different and a little kooky. And, if a client comes to me with a vision, I'm like, yes, let's do it. But, I also just don't get bored with kind of rinse and repeat, changing a few things so it fits each client. But like, I really get off on epic lighting. And my clients, who a lot of them are women, it's not exclusive, but I am just so thrilled when I'm editing and when I see like beautiful lighting and my clients looking good, and like it does not get old to me. So that's kind of my thing, is just cheerleading my clients through it and then just celebrating like the entire process with them and being in there with them. And then afterwards, like I want to share your photos and I want to share your story, and just the whole thing is really exciting to me. That's where like Ventura County Businesswoman Group has been so cool. I've met some women there that we figured out also how to collaborate, and even just to like have wrap up conversations. Like I don't have any coworkers, so I really, really like want to have coffees and want to have, you know, meetings and stuff like that, and just sort of come up with new ideas, or, plan like events together and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I actually joined because I saw that there was an Ojai meetup,
Yeah.
which Tawny now got rid of. So I said to her, "Well, can I host something?" So we talked about that a little bit. There's no decision on that yet, but I was like, "I'm happy to host something because
Yeah.
literally it's the reason why I joined. It's not because I
Yeah.
don't want to drive to Ventura. I don't want to drive to Ventura every month, and I want it to be
Yeah.
easy, and I want it to be, and so I want to be able to support the women that are here because I joined because business women. Cool. I
Yeah.
moved here 4.5 years ago, almost five, and I want to hang out with other businesswomen,
Yeah.
whether
And,
it
and Ojai has like some cool women.
yeah, and I'm hoping
Really
to
does.
put something together, but I'm with
Yeah.
you there. I want to
I'm down to drive out to Ojai anytime.
perfect. You are invited.
Yeah.
And even without officially us doing something
Yeah.
with VCBW, I'm happy to. I do host. I used to host some like full moon circles and
Oh,
things like
cool.
that with my wine. And anyway, but I'll probably do that again. I want to go back to how you work with your clients because what's interesting is I have recently. So, without to bore everybody with the topic of social media, we've talked about social media on this podcast many times, and TikTok's an area where I make so much
Mhm.
long form content. I have
Yeah.
no bandwidth for short form content when it comes to videos. I just won't do it.
Yeah.
But I did a couple speaking gigs last year that were very well videoed, and then they clipped them for me. And I'm like, I
That's so
get this
nice
whole
of
gallery.
them.
Like you mentioned the
Yeah.
gallery, and I've
Yeah.
never. I mean, I have a live event that I do every October, and I have a full production team so I can reuse some of
Yeah.
those videos, but they don't apply to everything that I'd be talking about because it would be like, oh, here's another video of her event. Here's another video of her at her event. Here's some people at her event. But these three videos that got sort of whatever they used to clip them, and they did a really good job. I now have this rotating library that I'm now posting on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, and I'm now posting more easily because
Yeah.
it's there. So I now can finally relate to that idea of having
Yeah.
this gallery that could support you. So walk us through what that looks like. Like, what is that photo shoot? What is that? So I say, okay, Leigha, you're going to do this for me. We're going to do this thing. Walk me through how long it takes and what's all involved.
Um, let me just for fun, I'm just going to use somebody that's also a member just because I just did her work. And I would say she's a business coach. It's not Natalie, it's another woman who does business coaching. And we started talking months ago. It'll usually start with like, I really need to do photos. But I also like hate doing photos. I hate being, and I'm like, I get you. I feel you. I feel similarly. And I don't know if every photographer commiserates with their clients. And sometimes I'm like, is this the right thing to do? I'm a photographer telling them I hate photo. But I really also try to like put myself in their shoes, and I make myself do photo shoots a couple times a year, and just not just have fresh images, but just like to remember for me how much easier it is to be behind than in front, and like just to have that like raw remembrance of like this sometimes sucks, like it takes all your insecurities and you have to put them out there and you have to invite somebody into your process. And anyways, so usually it starts with a conversation and then we'll hop on a call so I can kind of do like a little bit of a social media audit if it's somebody that's like kind of doesn't know where to start, but they know they want to start posting more. So we'll have a look at their page and they can send me inspiration so I can have a look at like what inspires you and gets you excited. And then we'll plan it out. We'll either do, like their office, studio, outside in a random place, or find a business. This last one I did with this business coach. She works out of Santa Barbara. And we ended up meeting in Summerlin at this gorgeous place called Sacred Space. Have you heard of it? It's amazing.
I'm so glad that you're telling me this because I wanted to go there. They sell like statues and stuff, right?
Yeah, they do, but they have this like Balinese garden outside. And so she called to find out if it was okay. And I think they usually have a bit more of a longer process, but they were like, sure, you can come. And so she's like, okay, good, we're good. And there's a cafe next door. So that was really cool because in this, I think we ended up shooting, I want to say an hour and a half. So we did an hour and a half and we were able to hit two locations. And then within those locations, we're going to tons of different spots on site. And she had a friend there who could kind of be in some photos. So it's like she's facing the camera and the friend's here. So I'm getting the back of that friend's head. So it really like mimics, and that's what we want to do. We want to show like, what does it look like for her? And for her, she meets at coffee shops or parks or actually at Sacred Space. It's one of her places. So it's like, showing her engaged in a conversation. It's not just all cheesing at the camera. It's like, this is actually what she does with her clients. So we captured that. We did some quick outfit changes, hats, no hats, new cardigan, that kind of thing. And then, yeah, we went to the two locations and, oh my gosh, she's got 45 images now, to work with. And then I black and white some of my favorite ones. And like, if she's stoked. She's been doing the most beautiful posts because she finally has like images that, can go with everything she wants to say. And like she'll be set for the year for sure. Yeah, so that's kind of what it ends up being. And then, like sometimes if I post about her on my Instagram, then I can invite her to post and that's spreading the word for her. And we're just kind of like keeping the conversation going, even though the photo shoot think we did like mid-December. Like it's still kind of there's momentum behind it and there's a conversation of brewing and so that's cool.
The sacred space I asked about because someone told me about it and then I heard that it was closed. So the
Oh
fact
no,
that
it's open.
so the fact that you just said you've used it makes me go, okay, great,
Oh
because
my God, it's
I wanted to
stunning.
go there. Yeah, I'm going to go there. Okay, so
Gorgeous.
back to your process. All right, so that sounds really easy. Like very not like when you said you'd have a gallery for the year, I was thinking, okay, is it days and days of shoots
No,
and
no, no.
very overly
No, because
no.
nobody's posting that much. And then if you're thoughtful about your images, you can, use a black and white here and the color version there. And, if people are posting about like once a week, maybe, like a really good meaty post. I mean, if somebody wants more images, they are always welcome to do more and pay for more than what comes with my sessions. And we could do this more often. I have some people I do a couple times a year. But if you're just kind of like a solopreneur and you just need to have something and you just want to start, by the way, this is January. It's unofficial Headshot Awareness a month. So like this is the time to set your year up, and get your like plan of attack for the year. So yeah, that's kind of how that goes. And we only shoot for like an hour and a half, hour, 2 hour, whatever the time needs to be. It's not drawn out. And then what I do, I'm just saying this because it seemed like you were kind of asking about it. For branding, if my clients want it, after our photo shoot, I'll edit a few of my favorite photos just to show them like this is kind of how I edit, this is how I'm planning on editing you. And then I'll go through, say we took like 600 photos and I'll narrow it down to my favorite 150 to 200, a wide range. I'll include the candids, the goofy smiles if they want them, just to be a representation of like their full personality. And then make a gallery for them. And then they can go in and choose the images that come with their session. And then from there, I will edit those. So they're involved as much as they want to be. If they don't want that, if it stresses them out to see raw photos, which I totally get, they don't have to. But they can be involved in like even selecting and curating their final gallery.
Last year in Florence, Doug and I did a photo shoot and there were 600 photos, and I misunderstood sort of what we were signing up for. She
Mhm.
edits 40 of them, but you get all of them. I'm like, so we got all of them.
All
I don't,
600?
all 600. I always ask, actually, when I work with people for my live events, I want all the raw footage. I
You
don't want
do.
anything
A
but the
lot of
video.
people, I feel like a photographer, maybe because you're kind of in the business. I mean, I think a lot of, it's funny because I just did a photo shoot with a client yesterday and she's like, for my wedding this fall, I got 1,200 images. And she's like, it's too much. I don't even know where to start. And I feel like that kind of is a photographer's job is
Right.
to like the 40 were probably good. That would probably covered all your bases. But if you want more and you have a team and you know how to edit and stuff, then like amazing. But I think clients usually want us to do our job and just show them, I mean, the beautiful images and some candids and create like what I like to do with my clients is create like it's a photographed adventure, especially with my families. Um, it's one gallery of images that encapsulate what this time and age and stage with your kids, whatever your family looks like, is. So it's supposed to be for me, it's like full. It's everybody gets a solo photo. Every combination is there, all the families, and then photos and some candids and all the girls, all the boys, like every option that can be sussed out but it's not everything. So it's not overwhelming. But
Yeah,
it
no, and for some people, I do this, and and that is part of like when I do my events, or like I think I had a family photo shoot in for my parents' 55th anniversary, and I looked at a couple different photographers, and I chose one. And then she was late, and then it wasn't, and then we had to move because it was raining and it was windy. And anyway, by the end of the day, she ended up just giving me all the photos anyway. I'm like, okay, good, because that's what I wanted anyway.
okay, yeah.
Um, so and I printed a couple of them, and she did a really good job. But again, it's on a smaller scale. And
Yeah.
when I do, and I because I run events, I do it professionally, and because I edit the video, um,
Yeah.
and
You need to see it all. I mean, events, if I'm going to do an event, I give a lot more. Like, because you want to capture every interaction that you witnessed and every moment and events I offer my clients so much more. But yeah, not
yeah, the
you.
average person just wants you to, of course, be the expert, do it for them. They don't want to think
Yeah.
about this because I'm putting this all together. Sometimes I do some of this. I mean, I don't take the pictures, but I'm happy to edit them or and I do sometimes I think the raw footage is, maybe they did a little color change to the photos, but they didn't go into each one and edit each one
Yeah.
specifically, but they're like good and like they look good. Like they're
That's
really
like a photographer that just throws a preset on everything, which is it does something and it can change and make everything look uniform. But like when I'm editing, I go into every single photo and I am addressing that photo and how the light, especially when like if I'm shooting in a studio, it's really consistent lighting. But if I'm at like for example at the sacred space, like we're shooting in the direction of the sun, then we're shooting in the other direction, then we have the pagoda over us, and then there's leaves and like the shadows they cast. So it's every single photo. And it's like, again, I want to make you look like you, but look like you just went to a facial and you're so
right.
relaxed. You just had a massage. Like you're the best version of you, but the version that a client going into a coffee shop to meet you for the first time after only ever seeing your profile picture, they can walk up to you and be like confident that this is you. Like it looks like you. It's not the Kardashian you. It's like the real you, but on your best day.
And it's not AI. Oh my God, I've tried to use AI a couple times and
Oh,
I can't. Like I did 3 times and I finally got one that kind of looked and I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't post this. I can't post an AI photo of myself because
I
it
mean,
doesn't look like me.
and at the end of the day, like, no, it's a cool option if you can't make a photo shoot happen, you got a deadline, or you can't afford a photo shoot. Like that is a neat option. But I think with a lot of the businesses I support, therapists or lawyers or whatever it is, I think there's like a truth in advertising that a photo is the most. I mean, people decide within it's like milliseconds, like what they think about you based on your image. So it just seems to me like we should be truthful. We should actually use our face and and try to make the choices that we can when it's background or editing, whatever it is that support your business and what you're trying to say to your clients, and like be really intentional with that. And that's kind of for me, it's like we're having knowing my clients, talking to them and getting a sense of really what they're trying to achieve, knowing their insecurities. And like I follow every client that follows me back. And I used to be like, is this weird in my first couple years? Should I give them their privacy? And then it's like, no, because I'm in the game of like understanding who you are and understanding what makes you tick and what kind of photos you like. So even if it's just a family, it's like, oh my God, this client lives for candids or they love a posed image. Or just knowing what their kids are up to so that when we have a photo shoot, I'm like, how is soccer? And just keeping that rapport going. So I guess that really wasn't what you were talking about, but just, yeah, I don't know about the AI
Yeah, well,
profile.
because the reason I'm saying this because
Yeah.
when I spoke in Sedona, everybody kind of had their slides. I didn't use slides, but someone had some slides, and I saw their slides before I saw them, and I went, "Wait a minute, that's not them."
Yeah.
Like it was so obvious to me that I was like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel good."
Yeah. It's not
Or friends of,
truthful.
no, it's not
You
truthful,
don't
and
believe what they say because you're like, you're pulling one over on me. That's why the comb over never worked. It's like, it's not
right,
you, but I get it. Like, that's where like we all want to look better. Now we have these crazy tools that can just like change your face with the touch of a button and change out your hair. And it's like, it's tempting. But at the end of the day, like we are just trying to represent ourselves. And like if your photo or doesn't seem truthful, then how can what you're saying?
right. Oh, again, I tried. I saw everyone doing it, and I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm gonna try. And
yeah,
then I tried a couple times. I'm like, nope, I'm done. I don't like it.
yeah,
It doesn't feel good. It feels fake. It feels false. It
yeah.
feels inauthentic. I don't like it. Now,
And then people are
that's
like congratulating you on, or not congratulating you, but like, oh my God, you look so beautiful. And you're like, thank
right.
you.
It's AI. It isn't
It's not
me.
you. I mean,
Right,
it's,
right.
you know,
Let's talk
yeah,
about your business, the business
sure,
side of the business.
sure.
For those that are listening and wondering kind of what some of the biggest obstacles you had to get over, or what were some of the things that obviously I'm guessing based on the depth that you go with your clients and getting to know them and understanding them, that doing the in-person meetings is probably one of the best ways for you to get business.
I like that. Are you talking about like the Ventura County business?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely like that. It's funny because going into those, I would say 2024 was like my networking year and I was out all the time. And I loved the VCBW meetings because I found like it wasn't just about promoting myself, it was about like getting something and being asked questions about my own business and stuff. So it's only in like maybe the last year that I've really started getting more clients from it. And before it just sort of felt like collaborative. And I'm in Thousand Oaks. A lot of them are in Ventura, so I'm not maybe like the closest choice. But it's just following people, starting those conversations, and then your work starts to speak for yourself. So believe it or not, like VCBW isn't really a place I go to, just try and get clients because that like the AI photos, it's just like when you show up to these and you're just there like, hi, do you want to hire me? That it's so inauthentic and then you stop like connecting with people in the real. And I just want to have conversations, and so and connections. And I look that as like more a place to build colleagues. And then if work comes from it, like amazing. I'm so here for it. But if it just is a place that, I feel professional growth and like a sisterhood and camaraderie, then that's okay. Um, I built a lot of my business through like the mom pages on Facebook back in the day. That was kind of the start for me. And then, just special offerings. And like, for instance, like for VCBW, I have an offering this month for a headshot update and I'm giving a special price and I put it there and so through that I will actually end up getting more business through that group. But really that comes just from like I love this group and I want to give back. And so I know people in there have expressed to me that they need a new headshot and stuff, but they maybe haven't had the financial ability or it's just an extra thing to do. So I'm like, how can I make this easier? And so I do have that kind of business going on with it, but it's not like a place I go to just get a ton of business, I guess is my answer to that.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about people that are listening to this, whether they be in VCBW or they're not,
Oh,
and maybe they're a
yeah.
photographer or they do something similar, they're a
Yeah.
makeup artist, or like
Yeah.
what was successful for you in order to get clients when you started your business?
Oh, for sure. Well, like I said, it was those Facebook groups. It was definitely like coming up with cool offerings. I did like red truck photos in the fall. I would do every January. Like I said, it's Headshot Awareness Month. I take that really seriously. And I would every January, every year that I've been in business, I would offer um, some free headshots to like single mothers or people like having a hard time and like they need to get a new job, and a headshot would be a blessing. So I would do like maybe five of those, and then I would do super discounted headshots, and then that was a way to like offer something and get something. So I really like those, the mom pages. I actually started my own a few years ago just so I could have a place to post for myself and for other people. Um, I've started working with a lot of therapists in the community, and then I'll do these like not just therapists, but like business owners that will host a headshot or a branding photo event. And that was really something that built my business up because you meet somebody at an event and you do a quick shoot with them. And then the next time they need photos, they come to you. So that was kind of an early on thing that I would do. I would find somebody who wanted to collaborate, host an event with me, and people would sign up for like a quick 5-10 minute spot. And then from there, we would hopefully continue working together in the future. What else have I done? I
Well,
don't
things that have moved the
know.
needle. It's not just all the
Yeah.
things, just sort of like the how you got started. Because
Yeah.
in case someone's listening to this and whether they be in VCBW or they don't live somewhere
Yeah.
else in the world, and they're like, "Well, how do I start my photography business?"
Yeah. I mean, I think you just start doing it with anybody. You have a friend that's pregnant, just offer to shoot them. And I'll also like keep your prices really low in the beginning and just slowly build it up. I had a target price in mind, and last year I finally hit it, and that's really exciting. Um, I think what was I gonna, there was something else that came up for me. So it's like, yeah, definitely just doing it for free, offering it out. Like if your kid's school is having a fundraiser, give out a photo shoot that they can, make money off of, and you'll meet people. And then I also just because I know photography is such an asset to people, like every time I would go to a networking meeting, I would just bring my camera. And if the person that was hosting it wanted me to take some photos, I would just, snap photos when people are talking, or like if you were leading a meeting, like what a gift afterwards for somebody to just send you a gallery of like the best photos, and you could just use them, and there's no, I wouldn't charge people, but I would just be like, how can I like bless people with some photos and hook people up. And so that was kind of something I started doing. And then um photographers can also get together with other photographers and do what's called a shootout. And that's kind of a fun way to build your book and find new locations. And I think like if you are in a entrepreneurial job, you need to find some other people that do what you do so you can talk to them and like give a heads up if there's creeps that will call around to photographers and like try and get them to do weird shoots every once in a while. And it's just like not all the time, but you're like, did you get this call? Like so you need people that are looking out for each other. Like, hey, don't work with that person. And that's pretty rare, but it every once in a while happens that there's like a something unsavory. Or just like, hey, do you know if this location is still muddy? Have you been there? So it's like nice to work with other people in your same business or same
Definitely.
field is what I'm.
Yeah, and to collaborate and
Yeah,
to
collaborate or
share
even just look out for
information.
each other.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So
100%.
let's tell everybody where they can find you, all the things.
Yeah, so it's Leigha Smith Photography. I'm on Instagram, and I have a Facebook page, and I have a website. It's Leigha Smith Photography. I was kind of floating around the idea of renaming myself the Handsy Photographer, which I wouldn't really do, but I like always have my hands on my clients, like fixing their hair and their necklaces and like making sure their shirt's not wrinkled. And they're like, "Thank you so much." And like, it's just me being handsy. That was a joke, but it's very unoriginal. It's Leigha Smith Photography, and I work year round. So I'm available for family shoots, headshots, branding. Kind of, I mean, if you're my client, like I'll shoot your wedding, I'll do whatever. But those are my main areas. Yeah.
Okay, and last question. What is like on target for you for 2026? Like what big plans business wise do you have?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I have a couple things. One is with Natalie, which you mentioned. We have a program called the Archetype Approach that we are rolling out. She's a business coach. She deals with, people's leadership styles, and then I deal with style, like clothing style, and just what the archetypes in each of those are and how we can lean into those archetypes to understand our own work and how to make our life easier, whether it's like how we lead meetings or our business or even just from a style perspective. So we don't have to stress about getting dressed and how we can make sure what we're showing with our style says what we want it to say. So that's the archetype approach. And we're doing it on a solo basis with clients, and we do like a 3 month. We have a guidebook that we work through over 3 months, each of us, and then we also are doing it for like teams. So, like a law firm would have us come in and do 2 long workshops, and it would culminate in everybody getting new photos. But along the way, through those 2 workshops, they would have a chance to learn about their leadership archetype and then their style archetypes. So that's kind of cool. And again, it's like that. I've been doing this for a while. It's so good to have my brain working on something. And then a big thing for me this year also is just finding more companies to work with to just go and do a whole rebranding for them. Like I work with Amgen a lot and I go in and do like massive headshot photo shoots, or I just did like California closets and I just got everybody on their team new headshots, and it's all, so that their websites can rebrand and stuff. So going in into more local companies and doing that. And I mentioned my husband, he does drone services too. So he'll like do drone fly throughs and videos. And so sometimes we like will really get deep with a client and make them hero videos, and I'll do branding and just architecture photos and like just doing bigger packages with local clients so that we really are getting them not just like what they need for social media, but what they need for everything. So I guess that's kind of the focus of this year, those two not new offerings in addition to what I already am doing. Yeah,
Fun. Yeah, the
yeah,
collaboration piece is fun.
I like it.
Yeah, and well, like you said, get your brain working. It's a new and different thing. I don't know if I've never heard of anyone doing anything like that. So the
Yeah.
fact that it's unique will definitely get some attention. So I'm guessing that those are more for local clients. Could you
They
do that remotely?
are the archetype approach could be via Zoom. And it could be in like cities nearby that aren't, right here, but uh, local-ish. I also I go to San Francisco multiple times a year. I'd like to do more work up there when I'm there for longer bits of time. And that's also a cool thing about this business. If anybody's trying to get into photography, you can do it wherever you go. Like it's so cool. You can take it with you. And obviously, my daughter, she's 13, she's still at home, but when she's older, I fully intend to take this show on the road and, go and work in other places. So just kind of setting those offerings up now and getting them really dialed in so that I can replicate this elsewhere is definitely a goal of mine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, all of her links will be in the show notes, everybody. So make sure to check it out no matter where you are, if you're local or not. And if you know anyone looking for a photographer or any of the things that she mentioned, please make sure to share this show with them. Leigha, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, JJ. It was fun.